He shut the door behind me, turned the lock, and didn't say a word. His eyes didn't wander. They landed on me like they had a reason. And suddenly, I knew we weren't here to talk about football. It started simple. A message on my phone after practice. "Mr. Blake, can you stop by the locker room office after pickup? I need a quick word about Eli." Hey! If you're here and feeling the vibe already, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe to support these stories and help more people find them. It means the world, and it keeps us going. Thanks for being here. My son had just started high school ball that fall, backup wide receiver trying to find his footing. Not a starter, but he had heart. And that mattered to Coach Kessler, or so I'd heard. The man was a quiet legend in town, built like he could still suit up and play, gray at the temples, thick arms that pulled clipboards in and sent helmets flying with a single raised eyebrow. Tough, fair, private. So, yeah, when I parked the truck and walked past the rows of chain-link fences and low-lit hallways of the athletic wing, I expected a "we need to work on his endurance" kind of conversation. Not whatever this was. The hallway was quiet, no players left, just a soft hum from the fluorescent lights and the wet echo of distant showers being cleaned. I knocked once on the frosted glass of his office, and he opened the door before I could lower my hand. "Mr. Blake." "Coach." He stepped aside, nodding for me to enter, then shut the door behind me. I heard the lock click. I turned, a little confused. "Everything okay with Eli?" He didn't answer right away, just studied me. He looked tired, not the kind of tired that comes from a long day. This was the kind that lives behind the eyes, the kind that stacks over time. But beneath it, there was something sharper, focused, controlled. "He's doing fine," he said finally. "Working hard. You raised a good kid." "Thank you." I shifted slightly. The room was warmer than I expected. Small, a desk, a chair, a shelf of game balls and framed photos. "So, what's this about?" Coach Kessler crossed the room slowly, leaning back against the edge of his desk, arms folded. "It's about you." I blinked. "Me?" "Yeah. I've been watching you come to every practice, every game, standing alone, saying nothing, just being there. And maybe it's not my place to say this, but you look like a man who's carrying something heavy." I didn't speak. He continued, softer now. "And I look like a man who knows what that feels like." There was something about his voice, firm but intimate, like he wasn't offering advice. He was offering himself. "I didn't mean to make this weird," he said, "but when you looked at me last Friday from the bleachers, I felt it." "Felt what?" His jaw worked once. "That you see me." And for a second, the room changed. It wasn't a coach's office anymore. It was two men, alone, in the middle of something neither had named yet, and both wondering what would happen if they finally did. The air in the office felt warmer than it should have. Or maybe it was just the fact that the man in front of me wasn't wearing a whistle or barking plays anymore. He was quiet now, centered, and I wasn't sure what unsettled me more, how close he stood or how calm he was about it. "I don't usually do this," I said, unsure which part of this I was even referring to. Standing here, alone in a room with another man, letting the silence stretch into something neither of us could control. "I know," Coach said, his voice low. "Neither do I." He didn't move toward me. He didn't step back either. He just stood there, still leaning on the desk like it was keeping him grounded. His eyes, dark, steady, focused, stayed on me, waiting for something I hadn't decided to give yet. I rubbed the back of my neck. "You're my kid's coach." "I'm a man before I'm a coach," he replied, "and I'm not trying to make things complicated, but I'm also not going to pretend I didn't feel something last week, or the week before, or the week before that." I swallowed, hard, because I had felt it too. I'd told myself it was nothing, a passing thought. Just a glance held too long while he shouted orders on the sideline, his shirt pulled tight across his chest, sweat shining in the light as he paced like a man with too much fire to keep to himself. I'd told myself it was projection, divorce brain, loneliness, need wrapped in fantasy. But now he was right here, real, solid, unapologetic, and I was the one holding back. "You don't even know me," I said, not quite challenging, not quite backing away. "I don't need to know everything to recognize someone who sees the world the same way I do," he said. "You think I haven't clocked the way you stand at the edge of things, always just far enough back to disappear when it's over?" I said nothing. "You watch," he said, "and I don't mean the team. You watch me, like you're trying to figure out if I'm going to say something, do something." I blinked. "Are you?" He stepped forward once, just one step, not closing the distance, just shifting it. "I'm saying it now." The pause that followed was heavy. Neither of us moved. The tension between us thickened, not frantic, not urgent, just charged, like the moment before a storm when the sky holds its breath. And then, almost without realizing it, I exhaled. The truth wasn't in what I said next. It was in what I didn't stop. He took another step, now close enough that I could smell the clean sweat on his skin and the hint of cologne I'd only caught in passing before. His hand hovered, not touching, just waiting. One of us had to close the space. One of us had to stay still long enough to let it happen. I did. I didn't move when he reached out. His hand hovered just over my chest, then slowly rested flat against it, right over my heart, firm but gentle, as if he needed to know that it was real, that I was real, and not some fantasy he'd conjured up while barking drills on a muddy field. I could feel the heat of him through my shirt. His palm stayed there, unmoving, not grabbing, not groping, just holding me. And that did more to undo me than anything else could have. "You okay?" he asked, voice barely audible, not because he was uncertain, but because the silence between us was too intimate to break with volume. I nodded. I wasn't sure if I could speak yet. He took that as a yes, and his fingers curled slightly, pressing in, not enough to hurt, just enough to make me feel the gravity of his touch. His other hand came to my waist, not pulling, just resting, like he was anchoring himself to the moment. I lifted my own hand then, placed it over his, felt the strong tendons beneath my palm. His hands were work-worn, calloused, warm, steady, and I imagined how many shoulders they'd clapped, how many helmets they'd steadied, how many mistakes they'd forgiven with a squeeze and a word. Now those hands were on me, and they didn't feel like correction. They felt like permission. "I've thought about this," he murmured. "More than I should." "So have I." The truth cracked open something between us. The restraint in his body softened, and his thumb moved slowly over my side, a motion so small, so deliberate, it sent heat radiating up my spine. He stepped in closer. Now we were chest to chest. His breath mixed with mine, his face inches from mine, his eyes never leaving me. There was no rush, no demand, only the hum of something long denied finding shape. "Can I kiss you?" he asked. The question wasn't timid. It was honest. "Yes," I said, my voice hoarse. And when he did, when our lips finally met, it wasn't a spark. It was a slow ignition, like dry wood catching flame, warmth before fire, pressure before heat, a kiss that said, "I've waited long enough." His hand came to the back of my neck. Mine slid up his back. We pressed together like men who knew this might not happen again, but wanted to make it count if it did. And when we broke, he didn't move far. He rested his forehead against mine, eyes closed, breath trembling. "I wasn't expecting this," he whispered. "Neither was I." He opened his eyes. "But I don't want it to stop." "Then don't." His mouth found mine again, deeper this time, hungrier, not rushed, not messy, but full of that slow, insistent ache that builds when you've been holding something in for too long. We stayed like that, wrapped in each other, forgetting where we were, not caring. His hands roamed with increasing boldness, my waist, my back, the curve of my shoulder, still above the waist, still within the line of restraint. But every motion was a question, and my body kept answering yes. The hum of the old ceiling fan above us filled the space where our breath used to be. Our bodies still pressed close, lips red from kissing, his fingers now resting at the curve of my waist, like he was afraid to let go, or maybe just didn't want to. I hadn't been touched like this in a long time, not just physically, but with awareness. There was no urgency in him, no power move, no bravado, just presence, just him, standing in front of me like this was a decision he had made long ago and was only now giving himself permission to act on. "I keep wondering," he said, voice hushed, "how many times we could have had this moment if I'd just opened that damn door sooner." I smiled, breath catching. "Guess we made it count." He brushed my jaw with his knuckles, eyes flicking down to my mouth again. "I want to see more of you." "Now?" I asked. Not afraid, just surprised by my own calm. "No," he said with a slow smirk. "Not here. Not like this." I raised a brow. That wasn't a no. He leaned in, kissed me again, then let his lips rest just below my ear. That was a not yet. I nodded, pulse thick in my neck. His hand slid down my back and lingered at my lower spine, comfort, not control. My palms pressed against his chest, firm and warm under my fingertips. His heart was hammering. So was mine. "We should unlock the door," I said, finally glancing toward it. "Right," he said, laughing softly under his breath. "Before I forget, we're two grown men in a high school office." He stepped back, slowly, reluctantly, and reached for the lock. I adjusted my shirt, ran a hand through my hair, and tried to look less like a man who had just had the air knocked out of him by something far better than a hit. When the lock clicked open, he didn't move right away. Instead, he looked back at me, his hand still on the knob. "I don't want this to be just a moment," he said. "I don't do casual, and I'm not built for pretend." "Neither am I." He nodded, and something in his posture loosened, like he'd braced for rejection and found steadiness instead. "I live on Lincoln," he said. "Corner house with the porch light that always flickers." I grinned. "I know the one." "You free tomorrow night?" "I am now." He opened the door just enough to peer into the hallway, still quiet, still empty. Then he looked back at me one last time before stepping into the light. "I'll text you. I'll answer." And with that, we walked out, separately, casually, like two men who hadn't just left a piece of themselves in a locked room. But we both knew better. The next night, I parked across from the corner house with the flickering porch light and let the engine idle a moment longer than I needed to. My hands stayed on the wheel, like some part of me still thought I could back out, still believed it was safer to feel alone than to risk feeling something real. But then the porch light blinked again, once, faintly, and stayed on. So I cut the engine and walked up the steps. Coach, Matt, answered the door wearing jeans and a navy Henley that clung just enough to remind me of what he looked like under it. He looked relaxed, a little nervous maybe, but there was a softness around his eyes now, like last night had unlocked something that didn't want to hide again. "Hey," he said. "Hey." We stood there for a beat too long before he stepped aside and let me in. The house smelled like cedar and pepper and something warm from the oven. Cozy, understated. A few framed photos lined the walls. Old teams, family, a younger version of him with broader shoulders and the same steady eyes. He waved toward the living room. "I figured something simple, just dinner, and you don't have to stay long." I stepped in, took in the space, lamplight, clean floors, a couch that looked broken in from years of real living. I didn't come to leave quickly. He smiled at that. Not big, just enough to show it meant something. Dinner was chicken and roasted potatoes, cooked just right. We talked about nothing and everything, raising sons, failed relationships, that moment of waking up alone and realizing you're not sure when it stopped feeling strange. He listened with intent. He asked questions. He didn't interrupt. And when I told him I'd stopped dating a year ago, he didn't press. Just nodded, like he knew what it meant to go silent with yourself for a while. After dishes, we settled on the couch, a few inches apart, close enough to feel the heat, far enough to make the next move a choice. "I kept thinking about your mouth," he said, so softly I almost didn't catch it. I turned to him. "Yeah? Yeah, the way it tasted, the way you kissed me like you meant it." I swallowed. "I did." He moved first. His hand came to my thigh, fingers splayed warm and strong, not invasive, inviting. He leaned in and kissed me again, slower this time, mouth moving with confidence that grew with every breath. I turned toward him fully, meeting his pace, matching his pressure. His tongue teased mine gently. His thumb stroked the inside of my leg. I shifted closer. His hand slid to my hip. And just as I was about to deepen it, he pulled back, breathing harder now, but still steady. "You good?" he asked, checking in. I nodded. "Better than good?" He stood, extended a hand. "Come with me." I followed him down the hallway, heart hammering, mouth dry, body warm. Tonight wouldn't be casual, it wouldn't be pretend, and it definitely wouldn't stop at the door. The hallway to his bedroom was quiet, dimly lit by the low wall sconce that flickered faintly as we passed. Neither of us spoke. We didn't need to. Our silence wasn't filled with hesitation, but with anticipation. Slow, heavy, warm. He pushed the bedroom door open and stepped aside, letting me walk in first. I caught a faint whiff of laundry soap and something deeper. Leather, maybe, or the worn-in scent of someone who uses his space, not decorates it. The bed was made, sheets dark, minimal. A dresser sat in one corner, a pair of dumbbells under the window, and a single framed photo on the nightstand. Nothing flashy, just him. He followed me in and closed the door behind us with a soft, deliberate click. Not dramatic, just final, private. "I haven't had anyone in here in a while," he said. His voice had dropped an octave, husky and low. "You want me to go?" "Hell no," he said, stepping forward, his hands finding my sides. "I want you closer." I moved into him, our bodies finally meeting again, warm and firm from chest to thigh. We kissed like we'd already done it 100 times, like we knew each other's rhythm. My hands slid up beneath the hem of his shirt, over the ridges of muscle and soft dusting of hair. I felt him inhale as my palms moved over his stomach and chest. "I've been thinking about this since the second you left my office," he murmured into my jaw, trailing soft kisses across my cheekbone. How you felt in my hands. How I feel now. Better? I pulled his shirt up and over his head. He tossed it aside and helped me with mine, not rushed, just steady, like he didn't want to miss the sight of me coming undone. My fingers skimmed his chest again, down his torso to the waistband of his jeans, where I paused. He met my eyes, heat smoldering behind that steady gaze. Go slow. Yeah, I said. I want to. He sat on the edge of the bed, tugging me gently down into his lap. I straddled him, legs wrapping around his waist, our bare torsos sliding together as we kissed, deeper this time. His hands settled on my hips, thumbs stroking the tender skin just above my belt. Every movement was deliberate, every touch anchored in something far more intimate than just lust. I shifted, grinding against him slightly, feeling both of us hard through our jeans. The friction sent a low groan through his throat, his head falling to my shoulder. His breath was hot and shallow, but his grip on me didn't falter. I don't want to rush it, he whispered. I'm not going anywhere. He eased us backward until we were lying side by side on the bed, facing each other. His hand slipped under my waistband, fingers brushing skin, but not venturing farther, just resting there, warm and strong. My own hand trailed along his spine, feeling the curve of his back, the way his muscles flexed and softened under my touch. This, he said, eyes half-lidded, is the first time in a long time it hasn't felt like I'm pretending. I get it. And I did. Because with him, it wasn't about proving anything. It wasn't about bravado or performance. It was about being seen, touched, held, known. We stayed that way, clothes half on, hearts wide open, breathing in sync, learning each other's shape in the dark. It was already more than touch. It was the beginning of trust. The sun was long gone when I finally rolled onto my back, staring up at the barely visible ceiling, the shadows soft and golden from the hallway light spilling in. I was slick with sweat, skin still tingling from where his hands had been, from where his mouth had traveled like it had the right to leave marks I didn't want to forget. Matt was lying beside me, head propped on one elbow, his other hand resting over my stomach like an anchor. He wasn't tracing patterns, wasn't fidgeting, just holding me there, steady, like he needed to keep confirming that this, we, was real. I've had people in this room before, he said quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. But no one's ever felt like they belonged here. I turned my head to him, hand finding his. You mean that? He nodded, brushing his thumb across my skin. Yeah. You feel like you walked in and took up space I didn't even realize I'd left open. I exhaled, slow and full, a kind of release I hadn't expected. I don't want to be something temporary. You're not. He said it so simply, with no hesitation, just a truth that sat between us, calm and solid. He leaned over me again, eyes serious now, searching. Let me show you. He kissed me, soft at first, then deeper, his tongue parting my lips slowly as his fingers gripped my waist. I kissed him back with everything I had, every bit of tension, need, want that I'd buried over the past few years rising now like it had waited just for this. When he moved down my body, it wasn't just about lust. He paused along the way, my chest, my stomach, the inside of my thighs, leaving kisses like promises. When his mouth found me, I arched into him without shame, gasping his name, gripping the sheets as heat built fast between my hips. But he didn't rush. He took his time, his tongue and lips working me slowly, bringing me close, backing off, then building again until I was trembling under him. "Come here," I finally whispered, my voice ragged. He slid up along my body, mouth brushing my chest, then my jaw, then resting at my ear. "You sure?" "I want you," I breathed. "I want all of this." The way he looked at me then, wide open, reverent, was more intimate than anything he'd done to me. And when he reached into the drawer beside the bed, pulled what he needed, and moved over me, it felt like the start of something far bigger than tonight. He entered me slowly, one hand gripping my thigh, the other holding mine. My breath hitched as I opened to him, and he stilled, giving me time, not pushing, just being there. And when we moved, our rhythm building, his hips rolling slow and deep, my fingers tangled in his hair, it felt like something broke open inside me, something I didn't know I'd been holding in since before the divorce, maybe since the last time I let someone in like this at all. I wrapped my legs around him tighter, anchoring us together. Every thrust was a revelation, every moan a confession. "You feel so good," he whispered, "so fucking good." I bit his shoulder to keep from crying out, overwhelmed by the intensity, by how close we suddenly were to something that wasn't just release, it was belonging. When I came, I held on to him like I'd drown without it. And when he followed, groaning low into my neck, his body trembling against mine, I felt the moment he let go of all the weight he carried too. We stayed tangled for a long time. No rush, no need for words. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel alone. The morning light was different in his bedroom. It wasn't the cold, gray kind that made you want to pull the covers back over your head. It was warm, low, gold-dusted, the kind that slid across the floorboards in soft slants and made time feel slower, gentler. Matt was already awake when I opened my eyes. He hadn't moved much, just shifted onto his side to watch me sleep, one arm folded under the pillow, the other resting lightly across my chest. He didn't speak right away, just traced the line of my collarbone with his fingers like he was still trying to believe I was really there. "Morning," I murmured, my voice rough but soft. His smile came slow, deep. "You stayed." Wasn't even a question. He leaned in and kissed me again, tender this time. No urgency, just affection, like punctuation at the end of something we didn't want to stop writing. We stayed in bed longer than we probably should have, talking, touching, not in a rush to get dressed or go anywhere. I told him about the way Eli used to fall asleep holding onto my thumb as a baby, and how quiet the house had become after the divorce. He told me about his father's silence growing up, how football had taught him to lead, but not how to talk. "Being a coach is easy," he said. "You get a playbook, you get whistle time. But this, letting someone in, no one teaches you that." "You're doing okay," I said, kissing the edge of his jaw. Later, we got up and made coffee together, standing close in his small kitchen, elbows brushing, bodies finding comfort in proximity. It didn't feel strange. It felt like we'd been doing it for years. Before I left, we stood by the front door, both of us hesitating, not out of awkwardness, but because it didn't feel like goodbye. Matt looked at me like he had that first night, serious, steady, full of some quiet truth that didn't need dressing up. "I don't want this to be just a thing," he said. "It's not," I said, meeting his gaze. "It already isn't." He exhaled, nodded. "Then let's see where this goes." "Yeah," I said. "Let's." I drove home that morning with the windows down, the breeze cool on my face. Eli was still asleep when I walked in. The house didn't feel empty. It felt waiting. I poured a second cup of coffee, sat on the back steps, and pulled out my phone. There was already a message from Matt. Next time you're staying for breakfast. I smiled, and for the first time in a long time I texted back without overthinking it. Next time, I'm bringing the eggs.